senior writer for RealTime Fantasy Sports, and welcome to the RealTime Fantasy Sports Show. On today's show, I'm going to give you my Sunday morning update for Week 14 of the fantasy football season. You're either in the playoffs or you're in the last week of your regular season. Either way, it's a huge week of games, and this is my Sunday morning update. I'm going to tell you some actives and inactives for the games, especially some news and some news and notes as well, in addition to those actives and inactives. Let's get to it. As for the actives, not a whole lot to report here, more so in the afternoon games. So keep an eye on the player notes for that. But for these early games, there's just a couple of note. Irv Smith, he is active for Minnesota. He returns from a back injury, and he will be the starter because of an inactive I'm going to tell you about in a second here. Also active, DeAndre Swift for the Lions. Concussion, illness that has kept him out the last couple of weeks. He is active this week, though, has a good matchup. He could be in line for a lot of work and be a good fantasy play for fantasy teams. Now for the inactives, Leonard Fournette, kind of a surprise here. He's a healthy scratch for Tampa Bay. Keyshawn Vaughn, the rookie, is active for the first time in a few weeks, so he takes the place of Fournette in the lineup. Vaughn will get some work spelling Ronald Jones in this game. Kyle Rudolph, as I just mentioned, Irv Smith returns to the Vikings. Kyle Rudolph is out because of a foot injury. He was not expected to play, but it is official. Rudolph is out. He will not play. Irv Smith starts for Minnesota. And I think he's a little bit of a sneaky play for fantasy teams. Could get a lot of work in a favorable matchup. Brandon Cooks, receiver for the Houston Texans, he is officially out. He has a neck injury. He will not play. This is a huge loss for the passing game. Leaves Kiki QT as the top option in this passing game. Deshaun Watson's going to be missing a lot of great players in this game. Cooks, Will Fuller out as well because of his suspension. This is a big loss for Houston and Watson. A little bit of a concern for me in this matchup against a good Bears secondary. Also inactive, Randy Bullock, the kicker for Cincinnati. He is inactive. Austin Siebert will do the kicking duties for Cincinnati this week. Not really a great play in an offense that doesn't produce a lot of points, but just thought I'd throw that nugget to you to help you set your lineups for this week. And lastly, Christian McCaffrey, as expected, he is inactive for the Panthers because of quad and shoulder issues. The quad was the bigger concern this week. He suffered an injury last week, apparently, with this quad as he was trying to return from his shoulder injury, and now he is out because of this quad injury. It isn't certain when he'll be back, but McCaffrey is out this week. Now for some news and notes. Josh Jacobs in the afternoon game, he's expected to play today against the Colts. He will return from a knee injury and be a solid play for fantasy teams if he gets the workload. It's a little bit of a concern in his first game back from an injury, but still, as long as he's active, it is tough to sit Jacobs. Also, there's no timetable yet for a return for Drew Brees, trying to return from that rib injury. Those rib injuries, he suffered multiple cracked ribs. It isn't certain when he'll play. It doesn't look like it'll be next week. That means Taysom Hill will continue to start for the Saints. And lastly, there are reports that the Giants could give snaps to both Daniel Jones and Colt McCoy today at quarterback. So that's a huge concern for fantasy owners. I don't think it's worth using Jones if this report is true because McCoy will be cutting into his playing time, and that's obviously a concern when someone is taking snaps away from a starting quarterback. So I just wanted to give you that news and information about Jones and McCoy there. I think it's very important as you set your lineups. All right, those are all my news and notes, my inactives and actives for the early morning games in Week 14. Good luck in all of your games this week. Big week of games in fantasy land. Good luck. This has been Jeff Paur for RealTime Fantasy Sports. Have a great day.